If you're awake at 3 a.m. right now, before you scroll away, listen to this carefully. Maybe you think it's just another sleepless night. Maybe you think it's stress, anxiety, fear, or exhaustion keeping you awake. But what if there's something deeper happening? What if this moment isn't random? What if you found this message exactly when your heart needed it most? Because the truth is, some of the loneliest battles happen in silence. And maybe tonight, nobody knows what you're carrying. Nobody knows how tired you really are. Nobody sees the pressure, the fear, the unanswered prayers, or the quiet tears you've hidden from everyone else. But God sees it. Even now. Maybe your mind won't stop racing. Maybe you've been trying to sleep, but your thoughts are louder than the silence in your room. Maybe you've been asking questions nobody seems able to answer. Why is life so hard right now? Why hasn't anything changed? Why does it feel like heaven is quiet when you need God the most? And if we're being honest, maybe part of you feels disappointed. Because you prayed, you believed, you waited, yet somehow things still feel heavy. The same pain, the same confusion, the same waiting season that never seems to end. But before you give up hope, hear this. God often works in silence before the breakthrough comes. Think about Joseph for a moment. Joseph had dreams from God. Big dreams. Promises that seemed impossible. But after the dream came betrayal. His own brothers turned against him. He was abandoned, forgotten, sold away. Then prison came. Silence came. Waiting came. Imagine those nights Joseph spent alone wondering if God had forgotten him. Imagine the confusion. Imagine praying and hearing nothing back. But what Joseph didn't know was that God was working behind the scenes the entire time. Every painful moment was preparing him for something bigger than he could see. And maybe that sounds familiar. Because maybe your life feels like a prison season right now. Maybe you feel stuck. Maybe you feel forgotten. Maybe you're exhausted from pretending to be okay while carrying battles nobody understands. But what if your waiting season isn't punishment? What if God is preparing something you simply cannot see yet? The hardest part about faith is trusting God when nothing makes sense. It's easy to believe when prayers are answered quickly. It's easy to trust when doors are opening and blessings are flowing. But real faith begins when everything gets quiet. Real faith starts when heaven feels silent. Real faith says, God, I still trust you even when I don't understand what you're doing. David understood this feeling. Before David became king, he spent years hiding, years running, years surviving fear and uncertainty. Imagine knowing God promised you something great, but your reality looked nothing like the promise. Imagine wondering, did I hear God wrong? Yet David learned something powerful in lonely seasons. Silence does not mean absence. Just because God seems quiet does not mean he stopped working. And maybe that's what someone listening to this needs to hear tonight. God's silence does not mean God's absence. You may not see movement. You may not feel answers. But that doesn't mean heaven is ignoring you. Sometimes God works underground before anything grows above the surface. Think about a seed for a moment. Before anyone sees growth, something invisible is happening underneath the soil. Roots are growing in darkness. Strength is being built where nobody can see it. And maybe that's exactly what God is doing in your life right now. Building strength, building patience, building wisdom, preparing you for something your current version of yourself could not yet handle. But there's something else about 3 a.m. that most people never talk about. Sometimes the night becomes the loudest place for fear. Because during the day, distractions are everywhere. Work, school, friends, noise, movement. But at night, everything gets quiet. And suddenly, fear gets louder. Anxiety gets louder. Doubt gets louder. Memories get louder. You begin replaying mistakes. You start imagining worst-case scenarios. You wonder if things will ever change. And if that's where you are tonight, I need you to hear this clearly. Fear speaks loudly in darkness. But God still speaks louder. Even if you don't feel it. Even if you don't hear it yet. Even if your faith feels weak. You are not alone tonight. The Bible says, The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. Not the perfect people. Not the people who have everything together. The brokenhearted. The tired. The anxious. The people crying quietly at night. The people trying not to fall apart. The people wondering if tomorrow will finally feel different. God is near. Even now. And let's talk honestly for a second. Sometimes people say, just pray more, as if that fixes everything instantly. But maybe you've already prayed. Maybe you've cried. Maybe you've asked God the same question 100 times. And still, silence. But here's something powerful nobody tells you. Silence is not rejection. Joseph experienced silence. David experienced silence. Job experienced silence. Even Jesus experienced silence. There was a moment when Jesus himself cried out in pain. A moment of deep suffering. A moment that looked hopeless. Yet what looked like the end became the beginning of something greater. And maybe your story is not ending either. Maybe this difficult season is not destroying you. Maybe it's preparing you. Preparing you for healing. Preparing you for strength. Preparing you for doors you cannot even imagine yet. Because sometimes God delays things not to deny you, but to prepare you. Think about how many blessings arrive too early and become burdens. Think about how many people ask for things they aren't ready to carry yet. Sometimes waiting is protection. Sometimes silence is preparation. And yes, waiting hurts. I know it hurts. Waiting when your heart is tired hurts. Waiting when life feels unfair hurts. Waiting when prayers feel unanswered hurts. But please don't mistake delay for abandonment. God has not abandoned you. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. And if this message found you tonight, maybe that's not random either. Maybe this video appeared because your heart needed hope. Maybe God knew tonight would feel heavier than usual. Maybe He knew you almost gave up. Maybe He knew you needed someone to remind you. Keep going. Keep praying. Keep believing. Even when you cannot see the full picture. Because breakthrough often begins quietly. Before the sunrise comes, there is darkness. Before healing comes, there is waiting. Before restoration comes, there is uncertainty. But darkness never lasts forever. Morning always comes. And maybe your morning is closer than you think. So before this video ends, I want you to do something powerful. Take one deep breath. Slow down for a moment. And remember this. You survived every difficult day that tried to break you. You made it through nights you thought you wouldn't survive. And somehow, you're still here. That means God is not finished with your story. If this message spoke to your heart tonight, write in the comments, God is with me. Because someone else scrolling through may need to see that reminder too. And if you want more faith-filled messages for hard nights like this, subscribe and turn on notifications. Every day, we share encouragement for people fighting silent battles. And before you leave, remember this one final truth. If you're awake at 3 a.m. tonight, maybe you're not alone after all. Maybe God wanted you to hear this.